You're tired of the noise, the shouting, the endless scroll. You're looking for something different, a space to think, a place to get lost in a story. Welcome to our channel. Here we don't shout, we explore. We journey to the heart of cities, ideas, and forgotten histories, told in a way you haven't heard before. This is our first chapter, and we want you to be here from the beginning. Click subscribe, turn down the lights, and let's begin. Paris, a city wrapped in postcards and perfume. But what happens when the crowds leave and the cobblestones finally breathe again? This isn't your typical story about croissants and berets. Tonight, we uncover the real Paris, romantic, ruthless, raw. I'm your host, and with me is Luc, a Parisian historian, born and raised in the very rhythm of this city. Together, we'll wander through history, traditions, heartbreak, rebellion, and seduction. We'll explore rooftops at dusk, alleys after midnight, and hearts caught in the in-between. If you're ready to hear what Parisians won't say out loud, stay with us. Luc, let's begin where most people never look. Paris before Paris.
Before she was called Paris, she was Lutetia, a Roman outpost beside the Seine, stone streets, open markets, silent temples. She wasn't glamorous, but she had energy, a strange gravity, like she was meant to become something great. Yes, but not without pain. Paris has always had to burn before she could rebuild. Revolutions, plagues, invasions, they have shaped her very bones. When Notre Dame rose, it was a miracle. When it burned centuries later, the city cried, always. She never forgets.
Modern Paris looks like a dream. But what does the average day feel like? You once said Parisians live inside their own silence. And what about the contradictions?
Tea starts with ritual. A walk to the bakery, not rushed, not distracted, just present. Then maybe a cafe, where you don't just drink, you observe. In Paris, watching is a language. We do. In the metro, we don't talk. We read, we reflect. There's a poetry in how we ignore each other and still feel connected. In Paris, you'll see a man in a silk scarf step over a homeless woman to smoke outside Dior. It's a city of empathy and blindness. That's the Paris no one photographs.
Let's talk about love. Or what people think is love here. And heartbreak? Even the art feels like it aches.
Love in Paris isn't always soft. It's brief, intense, unapologetic. Sometimes it's an affair. Sometimes it's a memory you wish you could relive forever. Almost sacred. We write about it. We drink for it. We walk the streets with it. Pain in Paris isn't hidden. It's romanticized. Because it does. Every painter, every poet here, they create not just to express, but to survive.
Let's go deeper. Tell me about the divide in Paris most visitors don't see. You mean the suburbs, the banlieues?
There are two cities. One is for tourists. It's the Eiffel Tower, the river cruises, the macarons. The other is lived in, loud, raw, struggling. Yes, and beyond. There's tension between the inner Paris and the outer communities, between old money and new immigrants, between preservation and survival. It's not always visible, but it's there, in graffiti, in glares, in silence.
Now tell me what happens when Paris goes quiet. Is it true that people live double lives after dark? Confession? Even if just for a night?
She changes her dress. The lights dim, the pace softens, and behind every window, something unspoken begins. Absolutely. There are parties you'll never be invited to, hidden lounges, masked encounters. In Le Marais or Pigalle, it's not just nightlife. It's confession in motion. Yes, people go out to be someone else, to feel touched, desired, forgotten. Sometimes it's romance. Sometimes it's just the comfort of not being alone. It's not always about sex. It's about freedom, especially for a night. That's all many people get.
So, Luke, when people ask what Paris really is, what do you say? And when we leave? Merci, Luke.
She's a mirror. She'll show you what you love and what you fear. You don't visit Paris. She visits you. You don't. Not fully. The silence here follows you. So does the rhythm. Even your dreams will start to speak in French. Merci à toi. Bonne nuit.
Luke, I want to take our listeners to a place in Paris that feels like a paradox. It's a cemetery, Père Lachaise, but in some ways, it feels more alive than anywhere else in the city.
Because it is not a place of endings. It is a library of stone and silence. You do not go there to mourn the dead. You go there to have a quiet conversation with them,
A conversation with whom?
with poets who died penniless, with painters who changed the world, with lovers buried side by side for 200 years. You can stand at the grave of Oscar Wilde and a few steps away, feel the energy of Jim Morrison, and then hear in your mind the voice of Edith Piaf. They are not gone. They are just quiet.
So for Parisians, it's not a morbid place?
Number. It is a park where we walk to remember that life is short, but art and love are very, very long. We are comfortable with our ghosts. We live alongside them every day. They are part of the city's soul. It is more than a character. It is the city's main artery, its memory. For centuries, it has carried everything. The stones that built the cathedrals, the bodies from the revolutions, the ashes of saints, the lovers' promises and forgotten tears. It all ends up in the Seine.
It also divides the city, the right bank versus the left bank. Is that division still real?
Geographically, yes, but also philosophically. The Rive Droite, the right bank, that is the home of power, of commerce, of money that talks. The Louvre, the grand boulevards. It is logical, structured. The Rive Gauche, the left bank, that is the heart. The Sorbonne, the artists' studios, the thinkers in the cafes. It is the home of ideas, of passion, of beautiful chaos. You do not choose a bank to live on. You discover which one you belong to.
And the river itself? Does it take a side?
The river, she takes no sides. She just watches and remembers and flows on toward the sea, carrying our secrets with her.
Luke, there's a feeling here that time moves differently. Tourists rush from one monument to the next, but Parisians seem to have more of it. Is that true?
We do not have more time. We simply refuse to surrender it. In English, you have the phrase killing time. A Parisian would never say that. It is a terrible idea. Why would you kill the only thing you truly own?
Luke, we have to talk about fashion. It's impossible not to. People come to Paris just to see how people dress, but it feels deeper than just clothes.
Because it is not about clothes, and it is certainly not about fashion. It is about l'allure, bearing. It is a uniform for the soul. You see a woman in a simple black coat, a well-chosen scarf. You are not seeing a trend. You are seeing a statement of self-respect. It is armor. It says, I know who I am, and I do not need your approval.
So the famous effortless chic is a myth?
It is the greatest myth of all. It is studied carelessness. It takes immense effort to look like you have not made any, to choose the one perfect accessory instead of 10, to have a single deliberate flaw, a messy bit of hair, a slightly unbuttoned cuff to show you are not a doll. It is a full-time job to look like you do not care. It is the Parisian way.
Let's move from style to the stomach. The food in Paris is legendary, but I'm not talking about the 3-star Michelin restaurants. I want to know about the daily bread, the cheese, the wine.
Ah, you are asking about the true religion. A Parisian's relationship with their boulanger, baker, or fromager, cheesemonger, is more intimate than with their doctor. It is built on trust and a shared understanding of quality. The outdoor market, the marché, is not a chore. It is a social theater. You do not simply buy a tomato. You discuss its origins. You feel its weight. You are connecting to the soil, to the season. It is another rebellion against the supermarket, against the world of convenience.
And the meal itself?
He meal is a sacred pause in the day. We sit, we talk, we argue, we put our phones away. The table is a sanctuary. For 2 hours, the world can wait. We do not just refuel our bodies, we refuel our connections to each other. Here, a simple lunch of bread, cheese, and wine is not a snack. It is a conversation.
Luke, many visitors feel that the French language is a fortress, that Parisians can be unforgiving of mistakes. Why is that?
Because to us, language is not just a tool for communication, it is a historical monument. Every word has been shaped by centuries of poetry, philosophy, and revolution. To speak it poorly is like scrawling graffiti on the walls of the Louvre. It is a matter of precision, of respect.
So it's not just snobbery?
There is some snobbery, of course. We are Parisians. But underneath it, there is a love for clarity. The right word is not just better, it is the only word. It is a way of protecting meaning in a world that is becoming very loud and very meaningless.
And what happens when someone, a foreigner, does speak it well?
Ah, then you are given a key, not to the city, but to a hidden room inside it. You are no longer a visitor, you are a participant in the conversation, and you learn that the most important part of the French language is the beauty of the silence between the words.
Thank you so much for joining us for our very first episode. We're just getting started, and we have so many more places to take you. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us is to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people find our stories. We'll be back next week with a new, interesting destination. Until then, take care.